Reach even further with the extended reach 18-volt ratchets from RIDGID. RIDGID sent us out the 1/4-inch drive and the 3/8 drive of their 18-volt brushless extended reach ratchets. Now, they provided the tools, therefore this is a sponsored video. However, that never comes into play when we're offering our advice as well as what we think of a tool. Now let's go ahead and take a closer look at each of the features here, and then we'll actually use them, and then we'll come back and talk about pricing and warranty. These are the RIDGID 18-volt brushless extended reach ratchets. We have the 3/8 drive and we have the 1/4-inch drive. The model number on the 1/4-inch is the R866020, and the 3/8 is the R866021. B as a bare tool, so if B is at the end of it, that's getting it as a bare tool. Really haven't seen it kitted with a battery. I would recommend getting it kitted with a 2 amp hour battery, by the way, and I don't have one currently, so I've got a 4 amp hour and a 6 amp hour. They're the same size battery as far as dimensions, just more power in these cells. Anyway, so you will see there's a little bit more length in the 3/8 drive. Otherwise, these things are about identical. Smaller head size on the 1/4-inch drive, 45 foot-pounds on the 1/4-inch drive and 55 foot-pounds on the 3/8 drive. Also, 325 RPM for the 1/4-inch and 250 RPM for the 3/8. We'll go ahead and get a measurement on these. So the 3/8 drive is going to be 19.5 inches, and the 1/4-inch is just short of 19, maybe 18 3/4 inches. So it looks to be about 3/4 of an inch difference here. Now, one of the main differences is, again, the size of that ratchet head. So it looks like a little less than 1.2 inches across that. So a little less than 1.25 inches, 1.165 inches. And then on the 3/8 drive, 1.48, 1.49, so about 1.5 inches. So a little more than a 1/4 inch difference on the diameter or across the head of the 1/4 inch versus the 3/8. Let's go ahead and get a weight on these and see the difference there. So we're going to do it without the battery, 2.9 pounds. I would say this one's probably going to be a couple of ounces heavier. So 2.9, or 2 pounds 9 ounces actually, not 2.9 pounds. 2 pounds 9 ounces. Wow, that is quite a bit heavier. 3 pounds. So what's that, a 7 ounce difference? 16 ounces in a pound. So 2 pounds 9 ounces, 3 pounds even. So quite a bit heavier on this. So you know what? There it is there. Because when we go to actually, yeah, under an inch, and that's right at an inch. 0.95 and 0.985. So a little bit larger all the way through here on the body. Now you got me curious. 2.25 or 2.22 inches. Yeah, I guess we're the same thickness in there. So the actual body of it's fine, but just once the actual extending part of the ratchet is quite a bit different between the two. So that gives this much more weight. Now let's go ahead and weigh both of these with a 4 amp hour battery pack on. And with the battery pack, 4 pounds, 1.5 ounces. And we'll use the same pack. So 4 pounds, 1.5 ounces, 4 pounds, 9 ounces. Again, that 4 pounds, 8.5 ounces. So still getting that 6 ounce differential, 6.5, 7 ounce differential. And let's just throw the 6 amp hour on there, see if there's any difference there. Yeah, 4 pounds, 9.5 ounces. So depending on what type of battery, somewhere between 4 and 5 pounds. And I'm sure the 2 amp hour is going to be a whole row of cells less. So that's going to lighten things up quite a bit. So definitely recommend, again, using that lower profile 2 amp hour battery It'll kind of slim things down here on the end as well as lighten things up. I would say that is one of the negatives here on the RIDGID ratchet, is they don't have a 12 volt line or a smaller voltage line, so you've got this larger battery hanging off the butt end of the ratchet, kind of, you know, weighing things down. However, it really shouldn't get in the way. It's just probably more of a hindrance of having to deal with it all the time. But again, I wish I had a 2 amp hour slimmer battery that would definitely slim those things up on this end. We have a lock right here. I'm sure that's a trigger lock. Yes, so that's in the lock mode, and you cannot press the trigger. And that's going to be on both of these. So slide it forward. So when you throw it in your toolbox or throw it in your truck, whatever, slide that lock button, and then it's not going to activate the ratchet or battery if it rolls into something or hits something. Also, if I turn that off, squeeze the trigger, we've got an LED light here. Even though I'm not sure how much light we're going to shine all the way out there to where that ratchet head is. And then switching directions, pretty typical like your conventional ratchets. It is kind of sunk beneath the surface, so you do kind of reach in there with your fingertips. I am curious. These are the ratchet knobs, and these are specific for the Milwaukee. I'm just curious if they will work with the RIDGID. Well, looky there. Works on that one. And works on that one. So now changing the directions on these RIDGIDs, that's pretty easy. Interesting. These use high-powered earth magnets to go on, and then make it very easy to shift directions on your ratchet head. We have 3 3/4 inch nuts here attached obviously to bolts. We're going to go ahead and torque these down with our torque wrench we're going to start at 25 foot-pounds to go 25, 35, and 45, and start with the 1/4 inch ratchet. So let's go up here to 25 foot-pounds. There we go. That's actually 26. Go to 35. Dead on at 35 foot-pounds. And then we'll go up to 45. So 46.6. Now I do have to use a 1/4 inch to 3/8 adapter because I do not have a 3/4 inch socket for a 1/4 inch drive. We'll make sure we're in reverse. Okay, there we have it. And we'll start at 25 foot-pounds. And we'll just pull the trigger. No problem there. Now 35 foot-pounds. Okay, not atypical for a ratchet. I'll keep bumping it. Oh, it broke it free. Now, 45 foot-pounds. This is what it's rated for, 45 foot-pounds. Okay. Now, I'll tell you something on these ratchets. It's not that one was torqued wrong and one was torqued correctly. It's just that if there's a little bit of air gap for that socket to move first, it will break it free. If there's not, they really don't have the power to just come out of the gates, if you will. But if they have the ability to move a little bit, they will actually break the fasteners free as they're supposed to. Let's go ahead and go to 50. 50.5. And then we'll jump 5-pound increments to 55. 55.8. And we'll go to 60. And 61.1. Back in reverse. And here we go at 50. Okay, looks like we've stopped dead there. But watch what I'm talking about. If I get a run, they kind of call this NASCAR style. Get a run at it, it's going to break that free. But if I just pull the trigger, it's not going to break it free. So still, I think it did fine at breaking free what they're claiming. But again, don't expect these ratchets. They're not impact wrenches. They're not right angle impact wrenches. If you're looking for something to, bust them free without any input, then you want a 90-degree or a right angle impact wrench. We're going to go ahead and start at 45 foot-pounds for the 3/8 drive. There we go, 47. And we'll go to 55. That's what it's rated for. So they're 57.5. And then let's go to 65. 10 pounds over. So 65.5. Reverse. So 45 foot-pounds. So again, see what I'm talking about? If it's right there, there's no gap for it to move. There. Bump it a few times, it gets it. Make sure I'm not loosening that. There we go. Again, bump the trigger. And it had room to move and break that free. But again, let me give it some room to move. No problem breaking even 65 foot-pounds free. Now here's my question. When it comes to cordless ratchets, since they are not impact wrenches, I know what mechanics are going to do when you're using these things. Let's crank this up to 100 foot-pounds. When that nut is tight, I hope our fastener will hold this, by the way. I don't believe it's going to. I think I'm about to break the... There's 100 foot-pounds. I know what's going to happen. When you encounter, you're doing that brake job, you're needing to break something free, obviously the ratchet's not going to bust it loose. You're going to give it that old manual input, especially on these long reach, extended reach ratchets, to break that free because you got all that leverage at your hand. So is it going to hold up when you've got 100 foot-pounds and you need to break it free? Well, let's find out. Yeah, no problem. That's what I want to know with a cordless ratchet. Not will it break it free with the motor, but can I give some manual input without it flexing, breaking, cracking, and everything else? And that held up absolutely fine. I wouldn't recommend standing on this thing and breaking free 200 and 300 foot-pounds, but for 100 foot-pounds and less or something thereabouts, these will be absolutely fine for. We love the extended reach format of the RIDGID cordless ratchets. They have their standard version, now they have the extended reach. And the extended reach cordless ratchets are a big hit among mechanics and even DIYers because it enables them to get further into an area that many times if you're having to use the bulk side of the cordless ratchet may not fit very well. So that gets that head away from that larger body and enables you to get in those tighter areas and quite frankly just reach further. As far as actual power, we think it's right on par with what they say or what they claim and right in line with other ratchets that we test that typically kind of test at a standstill. They don't quite hit the number that's claiming, but on a, getting a run or even having just a small window to move just a bit, it will typically break that fastener free at where they rated it from. And as we mentioned also, we don't put a lot of weight in that because this is not an impact wrench. It's not meant to break those fasteners free at a huge amount. It's meant to be a nut runner. So running nuts on and off. And we saw once it gets moving, it does quite fine. Now, the 1/4 inch is going to be a little bit faster than the 3/8 drive. Again, pretty typical among cordless ratchets. Pricing on these guys are $199 each, and that's as a bare tool. So that is a pretty big pill to swallow to buy a bare tool cordless ratchet at $200. Again, not out of line with others that we've seen, but just wanted you to know that. So if you're already on the RIDGID platform, you already have the batteries. Again, I'd recommend a 2 amp hour with these because it's going to slim these down quite a bit more and be a lighter tool and a slimmer tool and still have plenty of power to do so. So you're going to spend another $100 or so if you're having to buy a battery and buy a charger. So again, $199 each. They're the same price whether you're getting the 1/4 inch or the 3/8 drive as well. You can buy a protective head, I think, for $30. And as with most RIDGID power tools, if you'll register the product within 90 days of purchase, then you'll get that LSA or lifetime service agreement that should cover the tool and the batteries for a lifetime of the tool. We'll have a link in the description if you care to take a look. Also, keep track of us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and even TikTok. And if you don't mind, would you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already? And by all means, if you hated our video, well, give us a thumbs down. But would you let us know in the comments why? Have a great day and keep smiling.